Welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, and we're back this time to talk about cryptocurrency. You know, there's a big question that is going around today, and that is, what if the money we used could also do good every time we spent it? There's a movement among cryptocurrency developers to add a social purpose to the coins they make. And in particular, we're going to talk about environmental social purposes today. Our guests, Sami, Touzani, and Kristijan are developers of the World of Waves token, a cryptocurrency that has a kind of a built-in tax that supports, and this is a quote, as many charitable organizations in the world as possible while rewarding holders with substantial returns, unquote. Every time a World of Waves coin is used in a transaction, 11% of the value is set aside. Part of it goes to help save our oceans. 3.3% goes to the people who hold the coins. It's a kind of a dividend. Another 3.3% goes into the liquidity pool, which is an account that serves a similar purpose to a market maker in a stock market, somebody who guarantees the ability to buy and sell shares of a stock. And the remaining 4.4% goes to charitable organizations that preserve oceans. Sami says this is our chance to revolutionize the way we give back to our planet using the future's technology. And he suggests we should unite crypto and the world to make a change together. Now, we're not going to be able to explain all the intricacies of this kind of cryptocurrency during this conversation. So we're going to focus on what charities World of Waves supports and how the coin must be adopted and used to create a flow of value that creates those contributions to charities. You can learn more about World of Waves at wow.surf, S-U-R-F, wow.surf. Welcome to the show, Sami and Kristijan. How are you today?
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Your coin caught my attention because at Earth911, we've been thinking about the same kind of project to fund new recycling programs. And so we wanted to reach out and talk to you. Can you tell us first, why World of Waves? What was it that made you think, let's create a coin with a social purpose?
Yeah, sure. So I'll start a little bit talking about why we started the project and how it all came together. So back in April, I invested into some cryptocurrencies, and also there was some other charity tokens. When I speak about charity tokens are basically crypto tokens where a proportion of every sell and buy goes to a charity wallet and is donated after. And I was really inspired by the fact, how impactful this can be. For example, there is a token called Elongate, and they donated a total amount of over $2 million back then. And then I thought to myself, this can have a really high impact and can actually help many organizations. And that's why I got together with other investors and started this project.
Why particularly the focus on the oceans? Because that is the emphasis that you place in terms of where you're going to be putting your charitable donations.
Yeah, sure. So I always had a good connection to the ocean. I went surfing when I was little, and also I surf right now. And I think also in the beginning of 2021, there was a Netflix documentary coming out, and it really opened my eyes how hard the impact of industry and other factors are on the ocean, and how the ocean suffers at the moment. And this really made me thinking.
So, Kristijan, how about you? What motivated you about the oceans to get involved with World of Waves?
I saw the chance to join a project, and this is what World of Waves is, to make an impact, and not a very spread out impact, but in the beginning it was very specific. Like we came together with that one mission to save the ocean and said, okay guys, we can support NGOs around the world. We can create a cryptocurrency specially dedicated to them, and let's see how much of an impact we can make and how much of work we can put into this and support the NGOs around the world. Then we came up with a plan. What can we do? How we want to do it? And how can we make that whole token sustainable? Because yes, it is true. There are a lot of charity tokens out there, but a lot of them are currently suffering with a strategy to make themselves sustainable. We can talk on that later on. Mm-hmm. In case of why oceans, why did I hop into that? So myself, we came as, so I was born in Serbia in 1998. And back then there was a war and we came as refugees to Germany. And from there on, I think to my 13 or 14 living year, I never really saw the ocean mm-hmm. except in movies, on Google and social media, whatever. And one time we was invited to go to a vacation with family, and we actually went to see the ocean. So it was my first time seeing it. And I came there with high expectations. We went to Montenegro. Uh-huh. And this was the first time where basically my whole illusion of how beautiful and awesome and clean the ocean is was basically shattered. There was this one beach I can remember. It was not blue as I thought in how it should look like. The beach was completely polluted by the tourism, trash laying everywhere. It came already so far that I was that much disgusted as a child that I didn't even went into that ocean swimming. But it wasn't like from there on the spark really took over, and I said, okay, I'm a child and I want to change it. It was more like a shock, but I kept on living thinking like, okay, so the movies was all CGI and Photoshop or whatever. Just later on, while growing up, reading about how the people or how human in general are impacting the ocean and how way more valuable the ocean are than I ever imagined. Like if people start to understand that every 2 out of 3 breaths they take are coming from the ocean, that's a really good thing to start saving. And we need to start saving it now before we basically are at the tipping point where we can't save it anymore.
So let me ask about the token itself, because that's the mechanism that you want to use to do that. Now, the World of Waves token there's 2 billion of them out there. And currently, the price as of the moment that we're talking is 12 10,000ths of a cent, which doesn't sound like a lot, but this is also how a new coin functions. It starts off at a very low value, and as people start to use it more, it starts to increase in value. And since we've been tracking this, the number of people who own it, according to bscscan.com, which is a cryptocurrency tracking site, folks, has increased by about 33% to 12,500 people or entities that hold the coin. So you're seeing growth. You're seeing a rising value of the coin. Are you now starting to actually generate charitable donations based on the transactions, or are you still kind of in a pre-revenue phase?
Like we already did donations. So the token had his function from the beginning on, and we did a donation. Our first big donation went to the ocean cleanup. We donated 36,000 to them within, I think, the two months. Our second donation went to Marine Life Conservation Society, which is an NGO in Turkey. But this is where we came in and said, okay, this is not really the amount of money or the amount of donations we really want to spend, and we could keep on doing these small donations, which are small just in relation to what crypto can do. So we stepped back a little and thought to ourselves, because at that moment of time, we didn't have a product. So without a product, we're just a token. And you need to give people a reason, why should I invest in this token? So what's the real benefit for me? Because like you said, the reward function you mentioned earlier, it's only functioning if we generate volume. So the whole reward is coming out of volume. This is where we decided, okay, we need a product and we need to make it good, to make it sustainable, so we can be sustainable as company. And this is where we said, okay, let's do a full-on charity-based NFT marketplace, because it's going to be. the world's first charity-based NFT marketplace.
Now, so let me just, for folks who don't understand what an NFT is, that's a non-fungible token. In other words, it's a work of some sort. It could be a work of art, writing, or it could be code that is signed with a crypto signature that allows only one person to access it or then to sell access to it. So you've created the World of Waves NFT marketplace. Tell us about what that is and what you can buy or sell there.
Our main goal was to bring our investors closer to also the NGO and the artist, to connect them better together. So what we're doing at the moment is we're connecting to NGOs around the world. We tell them about our marketplace. And right now we're in development phase. So it will come out in the next 2 months.
Okay.
And until then, we're onboarding the NGOs and also our NFT artists.
So at launch, what you're expecting creative works of art to be for sale in the marketplace, and that will drive the transaction value.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So basically, every NGO will have an own area for their NFTs, and then their dedicated artworks.
Okay, so the NGOs then are bringing some of these artists to the project in order for the artists to support the NGO through the transactions using World of Waves.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Now that is, I'm sorry, these do feel like basic questions, I know, but a lot of people don't understand this stuff. So I want to make sure we walk step by step through it. Now, another question about cryptocurrency generally is whether or not the number of tokens is fixed or whether it will vary, decrease or increase based on what's called a burn function or essentially a minting function. Is the coin pool a static coin pool or will it grow over time?
It's fixed, so we don't have a mint functionality. Mm-hmm. So it will always be a 2 billion maximum supply.
So that's where, for folks who buy and hold the currency over time and use it, of course, to spend on things, will also have an opportunity to see an increase in the value of their investment. Now, you argue on your site, WOW.surf, that you could probably earn about a 50% annual return. Is there sufficient liquidity, do you think, in the near term, in the next 12 to 18 months, that's a viable goal for somebody to think in terms of that level of return?
When we speak about that return, so the token has multiple functions. So the reward system is actually split into 2 positions. Just to get a quick overview on the tokenomics, every time a transaction happens, and it's regardless if it's a buy or a sell, 11% is going to be taxed. 3.3% is going back to the liquidity pool. So obviously it's building itself up over time.
Right.
3.3% is going back to all holders of the WOW token. And those 3.3%, which will get redistributed, are 50% in our own currency, the World of Waves token, and 50% are coming back to the holder in form of BNB, which is the base currency of the Binance Smart Chain. So the whole liquidity pool is also filled with BNBs. And the remaining 4.4% is dedicated to charity, the charity wallet. So what we are going to do in terms of liquidity, currently there isn't enough liquidity in our liquidity pool. Therefore, the token is still very volatile. We are going to, with the marketplace, we have 5% out of every sell is coming back to World of Waves. We're going to use that amount of BNBs, pair it with World of Waves, and provide liquidity to the token. So within 12 to 18 months, the time zone you mentioned, it's absolutely possible to generate enough liquidity to make it more stable kind of way, because what we don't want is to launch our marketplace and directly start with World of Waves token as the base currency, because the artist most likely doesn't want to accept World of Waves as form of payment because it's too volatile. The NGO most likely also not gonna want it because it's too volatile. So we have that problem.
Well, and it's always important for any of these tokens to be fungible in the sense that they could be converted into dollars or euros. And so the BNB link is how you're making that transition now.
Correct. So
thinking about as you grow it, do you see the token becoming a currency in and of itself, or do you continue to think of this as sort of a dedicated private currency that is really being exchanged between people who care about the oceans?
It's I think we didn't speak about this because with the launch of the NFT marketplace, we completely also spread our vision of World of Waves and where we want to go with it. We can start cleaning up the beaches. We can start cleaning up the ocean every time. We can support the NGOs by doing so. But the problem of ocean pollutions need to be addressed way earlier. And when I say way earlier, then we need to look at countries which are polluting the oceans. We need to look at basic infrastructure they are having, because you can't expect a country to be sustainable, do recycling and all that stuff when they suffer basic education, when they have basic infrastructure and don't have some way of recycling mechanism. So they are going to constantly pollute again. And also, if we can't manage to bring education to places where education is needed and currently not provided, we need to start really at the children to support them so they can get basic education like every other person on the world also. And we need to really start learning and teaching very early that the way we acted and handled the world till 2021 isn't something we can just keep on continuing. So by starting very early in young ages, we can really tackle the overall picture. And I think the overall picture is way bigger than just to beach cleanups. With World of Waves, we want to do a much larger impact. So imagine an NGO and imagine a cause they are doing, and it's regardless if they are planting trees or feeding or providing nutrition to children or education, or the ocean conservation NGOs or animal shelter, whatever. Every NGO has a cause, and it's an honorable cause, because if you look at those NGO structures, most of them, or basically all of them, are non-profit. So those are people who are really passionate about what they're doing. And we don't want to limit ourselves to say, okay, we like the cause you are doing, but we are fully or just ocean conservation, therefore we can support you. Right. With our NFT marketplace, we said, okay, let's step back from our small cabin where we're currently in and take a look on the picture from the outside. Let's see how much of an impact we can really make. And let's see if just by supporting ocean conservation NGOs, can we really tackle the problem, or is it starting way earlier? And what can we do?
So let me, I think an important point here is that if you buy some current World of Waves coins today, yes, you will be making a donation immediately. That transaction in and of itself generates, as you already said, money that's being donated to NGOs today. And then, of course, there's this ongoing opportunity to drive more. How do people who hold the coin keep track of where you are sending money? And so that, and do they have any say over where you send money?
This is where we're building our partner network. So we will have that voting function just for the token itself. People can choose which NGO from our partner network we are going to support. Okay. The partner network is not only decided by ourselves. We also reach out to our community, letting them know, guys, we are looking out for new NGOs. Do you have one nearby you would like us to partner with, or basically give us something, give us an NGO you would love World of Waves to work with. So like, for example, that ocean cleanup donation, completely, we ran a poll or we had a suggestion phase for 24 hours or 48 hours. People did mention a lot of NGOs around the world. And the top 3 most mentioned, we took and put into a poll for 24 hours. And that poll winner basically received that donation. And if the proof that the donation is going out is working over social media. So we are doing a post, and the ocean cleanup is reposting it, retweeting it, saying thank you, for basically giving some kind of confirmation that it's that it's been donated.
But that's also not the end. So basically, we want the investors to really know where the money is going into. So for the first donation, we did a live donation. So we had a live stream where we donated. And for the second donation in Turkey, we actually went there on a trip for a week, and we followed the NGO around, and also had a lot of social media posts about it and videos. And there's also a small film coming out soon about the NGO that our videographer made during that trip. But for the future donations that we are making, we really want the investors to know what the money is used for. So, for example, an NGO gets, let's say, $20,000, and we want to see what the NGO does with these $20,000, and that's where the charity hub comes in place, so that the NGO can display what they're doing with the money.
Now, you also host a weekly Ask Me Anything session. Is that also where you would suggest people start engaging to learn about what World of Waves is doing and where it's going?
Yes.
How do you tune into that? Can you share that?
Our current AMAs are being held on our Telegram channel. Usually they're happening every Monday at 20 p.m. CET, and are basically open for however long it takes. We usually fill it with 1.5 hours, and a lot of times it's more a hangout with the community than just an AMA. So sure. Obviously we start out with questions, but then also we have some developing process to show and to discuss with the people. We also taking suggestions in. So when, for example, with our development from the NFT marketplace, I always have some screenshots or progress shots, and I come back with them to the community and basically showcasing them. And this is also where the point where they can step in and say, good idea, but how do you feel about this and this and this? Can we change this and this and this? And this is where, because the whole project the project isn't me, the project isn't Sami, it's not Jerry or Kunal or whoever, it's the community, right? It's a community-driven project. So we want to engage as much with our community as we can, because without them, there is no real project behind it. So if somebody wants to engage with us, the best way to do it is really in our AMAs, which are currently held on our Telegram channel.
So let me step back or up a few levels and ask you this, because we're describing an interesting change in what money does. This idea that it is actually carrying a social purpose, but you're also describing functions that have been handled by government in the past. So could you share what you think the meaning of money should be, and how, if you see the world changed using World of Waves, what will it look like? How will the way that we decide to support and allocate resources for charitable or NGO activities change?
I think on a governmental level, it's pretty hard to discuss topic. Also, if you take a look on US dollars or euros or whatever, I think the first step with a currency should be that it's not, that you shouldn't print any more of it. If you take a look on the US dollars lost 90% of its value since the federal banks just started printing it. In terms of, will World of Waves ever be the world leading currency for every transaction?
Yeah, not suggesting that, but
I think at the moment of time, it's super unrealistic to think it's going to happen.
But how would your impact change the world? I guess is really where I'm headed with that question, because that's also what people who may want to invest in the currency are looking to accomplish. So could you paint a picture of what you'll be doing in 5 years?
It's more than just an investment. So if people want to invest, I wouldn't find a reason why they wouldn't invest in World of Waves, because it has like this multiple layers. Sure. They have that normal rewards of WOW token and BNB rewards. That's point one. Point B, it's they can stake their tokens and lock them up for 3, 6, 9 months, whatever. and gain extra rewards for locking or staking their tokens. They can use their tokens as a currency in the future to buy digital art. And if we take a look on NFTs currently, NFTs are there where Bitcoin was completely in the beginning, when everybody was laughing at it and saying, yeah, it's a bubble, it's going nowhere. This is where NFTs are now. So with the World of Waves token, we want to accomplish to have it as a base currency in our marketplace. It will be a very large portion of our NFT marketplace. And this is the biggest thing about us, the charity-based NFT marketplace with our own token.
Okay. Now, so tell us how people can find and start to buy the token today.
So how to find it is they can go to wow.surf. There's the contract address. In terms of the buying process, it's currently way too complicated because we are on a decentralized exchange on PancakeSwap. So what they need to do, and it's really a few steps. First of all, they need to set up a centralized exchange account like Binance and purchase BNB tokens. Then they also need to have a wallet like MetaMask or Trust Wallet. Mm-hmm. They need to purchase BNBs and send those BNBs to the Trust or MetaMask wallet. From there, they enter PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is the decentralized exchange. They paste in our contract address there and basically swap BNB to WOW tokens. We're working on making it simpler to get hands on the WOW token, because this is if you want to attract large amounts, you need to make the buying process simpler. But that's the current way. We're currently in talks with a team which reached out, and they have a way to implement a credit card function, which we could use on our wallet app and also on our website, where you can click on buy, enter your credit card information basically, and you can directly change fiat currency into WOW token. So this would be the easiest way on how to get hands on, and we are discussing on a solution with that second part on how we can do it.
Well, and it's early days for this project, and all of this is to be expected, but it sounds like you're making some very good progress. And certainly the fact that you've already made donations to NGOs adds a lot of credibility to what you're saying. I want to thank both of you for taking the time to talk to us today about World of Waves.
Thank you. Thank you for having us again.
We've been talking with Sami Touzani and Kristijan. They are the co-founders of World of Waves. You can learn more about World of Waves at wow.surf. These cryptocurrencies are very early in their evolution, and it's very interesting to see the melding of social and financial goals, the way that this is described. We're always skeptical about new things, but there is real opportunity to actually design change into our financial system. So take a look at it. Of course, as with any investment, please consider any decision carefully before you make an investment. This is Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. We hope that you'll share this podcast and all the others with your friends and family. Let's get people talking about the ideas that we share so that we can all start to apply them in our own way to change the world. We'll be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. Have a green day. And folks, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let us all take care of this green planet of ours. We'll be back soon.